Hello, everyone. We are happy to see you here. This webinar is brought to you by Finevolution, official member of Marketplace for e-residence. Before we begin, let me introduce myself. I'm Nataliia Haikalova, and I am CEO at Finevolution, official provider of business services for e-residence, and I will be a moderator and speaker today. So our topic for today is Estonian e-residency opportunities in 2025. We have an exciting session ahead, so let's dive right in. Let me briefly highlight our key points. So the advantages of the Estonian e-residency program for entrepreneurs, current changes and news for future e-residents, the process of registering of company in Estonia, practical experience in obtaining the status of the e-residence. So we will have two presentations today, followed by a Q&A session. Please feel free to submit your question in the chat, and we will address them at the end of the webinar. So now I have the pleasure of introducing our first speaker, Ülane Vilumets, Team Lead Business Development at e-Residency. Ülane leads the team that is responsible for ecosystem development and partnerships. Let's give a warm welcome to Ülane. Ülane, the mic is yours.
Awesome. Thank you very much for inviting me, Nataliia. I'm happy to be here, and indeed I work for the official e-residency program. So for me, it's nice to talk about what we do in Estonia and how Estonia is a very competitive country to actually maybe consider for your business. Let me put up my slides. So first of all, I would like to say that I'm not only here as a government representative from Estonian tech project, the e-residency, but I'm also a former founder myself. I have built two tourism-related regular companies, but I've also built one technology startup, which was developing a travel website and a mobile app that managed to raise some funding from investors and also reached 500,000 monthly users at some point. So I have actually done a lot of the things that entrepreneurs today are struggling with raising funding, for finding new clients, and so I can speak from experience as well. Let me start by telling you a little bit about Estonia. And I perfectly understand that this small country may be quite unknown for some parts of the world. I used to always joke that, you get to Estonia from most of the places. You go to Finland and then turn either left or right, depending on which way you're coming from. But Estonia is a very digital country. So we actually like to joke that it's not just Estonia, it's e-Estonia. And we have enjoyed the selection of public services being completely, fully digital already from very early days. Most countries started developing their digital services when COVID hit, because then you suddenly realize that people can't go anymore to government offices. The only way I know how to talk to my government is digitally. We took our tax board, for example, online already in the year 2000, when I was still in high school. But 10 years ago, we decided to also open these digital services to non-residents of the country, because for residents of the country and citizens of the country, it's very simple. Everybody has an ID card. Everybody is obliged to have this ID card and use it for every kind of communication with their state. We even use this digital identity to vote online, for example. In the last parliament elections, more people voted online than not online. So it's very usual for us. And 10 years ago, in 2014, we actually decided that maybe some people from outside the country may have some use in this digital ecosystem that we have built. So we launched e-Residency. And I will talk a little bit more about the e-Residency and what it is in the coming slides. But nowadays, we are actually already talking about things like invisible services, which means that the citizen of the country doesn't need to know always what they have to do. The state will send out emails to them telling them what they have to do. So this is where we have come in those 25 years. As a business environment, as in a country, Estonia ranks really high globally. And these are just some of the examples of different rankings or indexes that are available out there. But definitely one that needs highlighting maybe is this rule of law. Estonia is a very transparent and trustworthy country, partly also thanks to this digitalization, because I at least I wouldn't know how to try and bribe a computer. So thanks to this digitalization, everything is very efficient and transparent, and that also makes it very honest. Estonia is very free for business. So it ranks really good also in the entrepreneurial activity in the EU. But to go a little bit deeper than what it is that we're talking about when we talk about e-residency, and just to be exactly on the same page, e-residency is essentially a digital identity which is given to an individual. So it is not given to a company, it is given to somebody who is a private person, and it is for them to be able to prove their identity online. So, for example, if I would go somewhere and they would want to know who I really am, I would open my passport, then I would show them the picture page. This is what e-residency does, but only in the online world, because you plug in your card or you use a mobile authentication method, but you also have to know the PIN 1 and the PIN 2, just like in any kind of safe login environment. So it is to authenticate you as a person. So we know that on the other side of the computer is somebody who is trying to do something on their own behalf. It gives you access to Estonian e-services and provides you with a secure digital signature, which means that you can use this to sign documents and send them in a safe and encrypted way as well to the recipient. But it's also an access key to the Estonian business ecosystem, a way to do your business from anywhere in the world in Estonia, and access to this global community of e-residents who nowadays come from 180 plus countries in the world. But it's also important to understand what e-residency is not. E-residency by itself is not a travel document. It doesn't give you any permit to enter Estonia. It doesn't give you a residency or a tax residency to Estonia automatically. And it most definitely doesn't give you automatically a business bank account or doesn't do anything for you, in fact, to get a personal business account, personal bank account in Estonia. So it is important to make this difference that e-residency is a digital identity for you as a person, and then you can do certain things with this digital identity. We have been issuing those cards to nationals of other countries for 10 years. We celebrated our birthday in the beginning of December last year. And you can see that we have currently over 120,000 e-residents. And they have established in Estonia 33,000 companies. And what this means for Estonia is that roughly one quarter of all companies that are established in the past 6 or 7 years, they have been actually established by those foreign nationals. The most popular countries for e-residency are Ukraine, Germany, and Spain. And it is interesting because for Ukrainians, the main point is the access to the EU. However, what would be the point for Germans and Spanish people? And it is actually mainly the ability to run your business in a very low bureaucracy, low paperwork, low red tape, low barriers kind of ecosystem for business. And it's actually not so easy to start a business in those older European countries where the requirements and the costs are very high in the beginning. So we actually see that we can be a very attractive place for also very established and old European countries. Most of the people who become e-residents, they start companies in the field of IT or more specifically tech startups. But we also see a lot of various consulting in business, in web development, in digital marketing, in e-commerce, and all kinds of various services like that. Tech startups are Estonia's secret sauce. We have only 1.3 million people in this country, and we have somehow managed to build 10 companies that are valued at more than $1 billion US. You might know some of them, like Skype or Pipedrive. Skype just closed or announced its closure. It's been owned by Microsoft for many years already. But you also might use Bolt to get around, or some other services that have grown into a unicorn from Estonia. We also have a startup visa and followed by scale-up visa scheme, which allows to actually come to Estonia as a startup founder, or use it to acquire talent from other places in the world. Because it gives, if you apply for the startup visa and you get approved, then you're able to either relocate to Estonia yourself as a founder and spend really time in this ecosystem and community, or you can bring, for example, tech developers or people to work in your company from outside of the EU in a more simplified procedure. So it actually gives you like a quicker and more frictionless way to hire people. Estonia is great for startups in many ways. Startups also need to motivate their early team, for example, with stock options. So Estonia has made a very nice legislation for that. We have a very flexible labor legislation. The requirements are not as strict as in most countries in Europe. And of course, the very open and collaborative startup ecosystem. And when I say it's open and collaborative, then I can say from experience, because I started in 2012 as a founder that had never built a tech company before, and I was actually welcomed into this ecosystem just as a foreign founder often is. When I told people about my idea, they recommended me the next person who I should talk to, or the next person who has tried something similar or who has built a marketplace, and those connections started being built in a very easy and open way. Because in our ecosystem, nobody's afraid to share their successes or their failures with somebody else who is trying to build the next unicorn. And all of this is actually as accessible to foreign founders as it is to Estonian founders if they become e-residents and start a company in Estonia, because we really like to be proud as a small nation. So we will make you our own, and we are able to say that your success is also our success. You might know some of these companies that I already mentioned, but how to then become an e-resident? The e-residency process looks like this: that first you have to apply online for the document itself, and the issuing authority who gives out the e-residency cards is our police and border guard. Don't be afraid. It sounds maybe a little bit scary, but essentially police and border guard will perform a background check on every applicant who wants to get the residency, because it's important for us as a transparent and digital country that we only welcome good players. People who are not convicted in money laundering or economic crime somewhere else. So there is a process of this approval. And while you are waiting, the police and border guard is doing a background check on you. And if you are approved, then the card will be issued and it will be delivered to where you ordered it. We have about 50 pickup locations around the world. Mostly these are our embassies. But where we don't have an embassy, we have some embassies that actually travel from one place to another to issue those cards. And we also have a couple of missions that we are doing to issue cards in very remote locations for us, where we, as a small country, are not able to have an embassy, such as Argentina and Brazil, and also in Thailand, we are able to issue once in a couple of months. You have to pick up your card in person. And this is something that may seem a little bit inconvenient, but it's also what adds to this security and safety of the digital identity itself. Because in one point in time, your real identity is being checked by our embassy worker and your fingerprints are being captured. So it is a biometric document, and this is what makes it so secure, that it's not like DocuSign, where you just receive a link by email and you can write anything in the field. Estonian E-Residency as a document is as safe as a handwritten signature. And once you have this card, then setting up a company in Estonia is really a matter of minutes. In 2022, we actually aimed to break the world record of how quickly you could start a company on London Tech Week stage. And it took 15 minutes and 33 seconds, even though the local Wi-Fi that the organizers had provided froze 3 times during this time. Then one thing that you have to do as a foreign founder starting a company in Estonia is you have to choose a service provider, which is not the same thing as many other countries want foreigners to have. It is not a resident director or a local representative. It is a licensed accounting company typically that is able to serve as your local contact person. And this is a very mild requirement compared to a lot of countries. So it is available to entrepreneurs for about 150 to 250 euros a year to have an Estonian address, and also to have somebody who is able to forward the official communication from the state side or from the tax board to them. So just to summarize, like what is the point why 100 and something thousand people have become e-residents and 33,000 people have started companies in Estonia? When you have an Estonian company, it is easy to run and start it from anywhere because you can do it online. And if you are an entrepreneur, your lifestyle may be very, very hectic. You might travel to different places and it's quite inconvenient if there is a government office that is waiting for you to visit once in a while. For a lot of countries, this is the access to the EU single market. If they want to sell to the EU, they want to work with large customers in the EU. Very often those customers would like to be trading with an EU entity who is in the same regulatory framework, following the same laws, following the same data protection rules, for example, as they are. It's also for startups access to EU investors and funding. And specifically in Estonia, we like to pride ourselves in very good pre-seed and seed investment scene. There is a very organized business angel network that does deals very often together with other angels from Finland and Sweden. And we also have already a really good ecosystem of local VC funds. So this early stage investment scene for tech startups is very good in Estonia. And it's not so developed in a lot of countries around Europe, actually. I already mentioned the collaborative and international startup ecosystem, but the international aspect is proven by the fact that 38% of our startups have one or several e-resident people on their either shareholders list or management board. So that just shows like it's almost 40% of companies have some kind of an international touch. Then Nataliia will talk more about the tax environment, and I can just say that it is one of OECD's top-ranked tax environments for its transparency and ease. And for entrepreneurs from outside of the EU, it's very often also access to global payment services with their business. So using things like Stripe for taking payments from your customers or other providers like that is possible with an Estonian company. And countries are not all the same. And, you may not like Estonia so much as a destination for business if your business is paper, if your business is printing. And this is the reality in Germany still today when you want to raise a Series A round of investments as a tech startup. And you are looking at 800 pages per investor being printed out for this transaction in the notary. This would be unheard of in Estonia because we just sign everything digitally, and we don't sit in the notary and also read all those papers out loud. So this is something that really makes us more similar to some of those world famous environments such as Delaware, or the UK, which is at least in the European region, the top area for technology and funding. We are really good with the speed, with also the being a very affordable place where to run a business, and for its seamless e-services, and also, like Nataliia will tell you about the ease of paying tax and all your obligations here. As we have the majority of participants today from Ukraine, and then I put the slide here also about this campaign that we have had from the beginning of the war, that it's possible to actually get your e-residency state fee reimbursed while following certain steps. So if you are serious about starting a business in Estonia, then we are able to reimburse your digital identity card state fee, which was the 150 euros, if you go through one of the eligible service providers who from their behalf are able to register a company for free. So waive this fee for you. And if you sign up as their customer for a certain time that they require, then you're able to get these fees, both of them, reimbursed to you as a Ukrainian citizen who is an e-resident from later than 24th of February 2022. But this is it from me. On this last slide, under the QR code, you're able to find our ecosystem study trip that we do in May. And this is a testimony to this collaboration and welcoming of foreign founders that we are doing for the third year in a row. So all startup founders are welcome to take a look at it and potentially apply to be part of it. We will have a great event. It's a day-long program. We take you around the different accelerator programs. We help you meet with some investors. We take you to one unicorn office, and we also show you some success stories of foreign founders who have built their companies in Estonia. But you are also welcome to use this Calendly link to stay in touch with me or book a call with me if you would like to really talk more seriously about how you could become an entrepreneur that runs their business through Estonia. Happy to answer all questions in the Q&A part of the webinar, and thank you very much for listening. Handing it back to Nataliia.
Ülane, thank you very much for your presentation. Even for me, it was a lot of new figures, which are quite shocked and impressive. So thank you. Now we will take a closer look at next steps for entrepreneurs who would like to start their business in Estonia. And let's explore about registration process and taxation. And then in the end, we will come back to the common Q&A session. With an extensive experience in supporting international businesses, my team and I have helped over 1,500 entrepreneurs navigate company registration, tax structuring, opening bank accounts, and more. So today I will be sharing my practical experience and insights, how to help you better understand the details of doing business in Estonia and successfully apply them to your own business. So the full list of Finevolution include tax consultation, business registration with e-residency, international business setup and support, assistance with opening payment accounts, bank accounts, and local business support in Ukraine, including CFC reporting, submitting all needed tax declaration, and accounting support for LLC and individual entrepreneurship in Ukraine. So what is a great place for business? Let's check it out. Firstly, in 2024, almost 14 of Estonian companies used AI technologies, especially in the financial sectors and science and technology industries. So we can see that Estonian companies are frontliners of new technology. Secondly, if we are speaking about taxation, it's the most great advantage of Estonia. So Estonian tax system doesn't punish those who take risks. In 2023, only the Estonian and Latvian systems allow unlimited loss carry forwards, which helps companies deduct current year losses from past profits. Isn't it wonderful? Sounds awesome. Let's take a look at that. In 2024, Estonia was ranked #1 in the International Tax Competitiveness Index for the 11th consecutive year. So it's impressive. And please pay attention that in Estonia, you can lost only 5 hours for submitting a corporate income tax in comparison with 42 hours in other countries of OECD. So now this slide about investment, and it's a great proof of my words that a profitable tax system and incentiveness for startups lead to a constant increase in investments year after year. So it highlights that impressive growth of Estonian startup ecosystem. According to the Estonian Tax and Customs Board, in 2024, the total turnover of Estonian startups increased 14.7% from the previous year. This steady growth reflects Estonia's strong innovation culture, business-friendly policies, and efficient regulatory environment, which continue to attract both startups and investors. So Estonia is often referred to as the unicorn heaven, and this data proves why. The country provides the right conditions for startups to thrive and scale globally. Together with the growth of investment, here we can see the growth of employment taxes paid in Estonia. This slide highlights how Estonia's startup ecosystem continues to thrive. What's important here is that Estonia's business-friendly environment allows startups to scale efficiently, and as a result, they contribute more and more to the economy year after year. Key players in the Estonian startup scene, such as Bolt, Wise, Playtech, Yola, and Pipedrive, are among the biggest contributions. This proves that Estonia's policies not only attract businesses, but also create sustainable economic growth. And as you can see, based on these facts, Estonia is quite appealing for international businesses. Now let's take a look at some key aspects of operating a company in Estonia. So one of the biggest advantages is that non-residents can easily establish and manage a company here. So unlike in many other jurisdictions, there is no requirement to immediately deposit the authorized capital, giving businesses more flexibility in financial planning. So your authorized capital would be from 1 year till infinity. Additionally, Estonia doesn't impose an obligation for directors to draw a salary, which provides even more operational freedom for you. However, one challenge to keep in mind that opening a traditional bank account in Estonia can be difficult for non-residents. Fortunately, alternatives like Payoneer, Wise, Paysera offer convenient and widely used solutions for managing business finances international. Lastly, Estonia offers a streamlined accounting and reporting process. You simply need to submit your documents to your accountant by the 5th of the month, and the accountant submit your declarations. And then, plus to that, the annual report is only required once a year, making it much easier to stay compliant compared to other EU countries. So you can see that the conditions in Estonia are quite comfortable, and this is a great place with a good potential for international businesses. The next part will be about the taxation in Estonia, and this is the most interesting part of each our webinar. So, unfortunately, the world situation and war in Ukraine influences taxation system on many countries, and Estonia isn't an exception, unfortunately. So Estonia has introduced such type of a new security tax aimed at strengthening the country's defense capabilities. This tax will be implemented in stages. It's three components. So the first component that the companies will pay 2 additional percent of turnover VAT. It will be effective from the 1st July of 2025. The second part is that 2 additional percent will be added to personal income tax and will be effective from the 1st of January of 2026. And the third part, it's about 2 additional percent of corporate profit and will be effective from the 1st of January 2026. This means that businesses operating in Estonia should prepare for higher tax obligations starting in 2025 and 2026, unfortunately. But one of the biggest advantages of Estonia's tax system is that companies are not taxed on retained earnings, which means as long as profits stay within the company and are reinvested, there is no corporate income tax. However, once profits are distributed as dividends, a 22% of tax applies, calculated as 22 per 78 of the net distributed amount. For example, if a company has an accurate profit of 100 euros, it's obliged to pay 22 euros of income tax when distributed profits. So this system encourages businesses to reinvest in growth rather than pay out dividends immediately. And for startups, it's a good news, of course. So it's important to understand that income received from an Estonian company must be declared and taxed in your country of tax residence. Entrepreneurs should always check with local regulations to avoid some unexpected tax liabilities. If we are speaking about Ukraine, you should understand that when you receive some profit as a dividends on your personal bank account, you should pay 2 taxes. The first, it's personal income tax, and this is 9% in Ukraine this year, and 5% it's military fee. It was increased from 1.5% from January the 1st, 2025. And then please remember that you should submit a tax declaration in Ukraine until the 1st May of each year for previous calendar year. Now we are discussing about Ukrainian tax obligations for Ukrainian founders. But please remember that if your tax residence in other countries, you should check tax liabilities in other countries. Other important tax update to be aware of the introduction of a new corporate income tax starting from January the 1st, 2026. So the changes are a bit tricky, but in a nutshell, under this system, the businesses will be required to pay 2% income tax of their accounting profit. Unlike the tax on distributed profit, which applies only to the dividends, this tax is mandatory for all profitable companies. So the first payment will be due on September the 2nd, 2026, and it will be paid quarterly in advance, helping businesses spread out their tax obligations over the fiscal year. However, it's important to know that if a company is not profitable, this tax doesn't apply. And the last changes in VAT in Estonia, that from July the 1st, 2025, the VAT rate will rise to 24%. So Now we finished with the observation of taxation system in Estonia. If you don't understand something from this fact, we can discuss it during our Q&A session. And now we will move to another important some new features for our e-residents, that brand new reservation. Such system has introduced for entrepreneurs from the 1st March of 2024. And now individuals and businesses can reserve a company name before officially registering it, helping them plan their brand strategy more effectively. So for a fee, €150, the name can be secured for up to 6 months, giving businesses time to develop their branding, secure demands, and set up social media presence before launching some operations. So this is particularly useful for those looking to expand into Estonia while ensuring their brand remains protected. Additionally, before reserving a name, it is important to check that it doesn't conflict with existing trademarks or registered business. Now let's go over the simple process of reserving a company name in Estonia. So first, make sure that the name you want is available and doesn't conflict with existing trademarks or registered business, because it's quite often situation. Then submit an application via the Estonian Business Register, where you will need to pay a reservation fee, €150. This grants you exclusive rights to the name for 6 months. And once name is reserved, you can invest in branding, secure your website domain, and establish a social media presence, ensuring a strong foundation before registration. So finally, when you are ready to launch, officially register your business using the reserved name and making the transition into operational status smooth and hassle-free. This system is particularly valuable for entrepreneurs looking to expand into Estonia while ensuring their brand remains protected. Now I would like to share with you my own experience of not only consulting people on how to open a business, but actually registering myself. 3 steps to obtaining an e-residency card and registering a company in Estonia. So the first, you should apply for e-residency, to fill the application, took a photo on a white background, scanned passport, and paid the application fee. Please pay attention, as Ülane said earlier, that now application fee will be €150. So all this process took for me about 30 minutes. The second, you should receive after 3 weeks approximately checking this process, you should receive a notification that your card is ready and you can pick up it from the consulate. My shock was that I received a card in the consulate in Warsaw, and it takes really 4 minutes. And it's really impressive. So I placed my fingerprint, received a sealed envelope with a residency, and that was it. It was the best, my pleasant experience to visit some government establishment. And then after receiving your e-residency card and obtaining, you can visit the website eresident.gov.e portal and registered company with your name, for example, if you reserved it early or from the beginning, submitted all necessary documents and applied for a business registration in just a few clicks. It takes also approximately 30 minutes. And then once the confirmation about registration will confirmed by Business Register of Estonia, so you can open a business account. For example, in my case, it was a pioneer, but you can choose from different types of business accounts and complete all compliance procedure. So it was my way, and it was really impressive and interesting for me as for business owners. So such first digital approach is what makes Estonia one of the most attractive jurisdictions for international entrepreneurs without any doubts. That brings us to the end of our today's session, and I hope you found this webinar insightful and that it has given you a clearer understanding of how e-residency and Estonia's business environment can benefit entrepreneurs like you. If you still have questions or need personalized support with business setup, you can book a consultation with my teammates via Calendly. You can see here QR, and we will be happy to help you with more detailed information. For more information about e-residency program, I encourage you to visit website resident.gov.ee, where you can explore all the details about the residency program. It's really very useful website and really very helpful for business owners. So now we can move to a Q&A session. Thank you for your attention to my presentation. Ülane?
I'm here.
Oh, super. Nice to see you again. So now we are starting our Q&A session, and during the registration process, we received a lot of questions for us, and I suggest we can start with those. So the first question will be, Ülane, to you. So the question is such: do we need to relocate to Estonia for the e-residency, or is it possible to retrieve it remotely?
Yeah, I partly already answered it, that you don't have to come to Estonia. You pick it up in one of the embassies, but it is necessary to visit the embassy at least once in person. So a personal visit to one of our pickup locations is required for the capture of biometrics. But I have heard that a lot of people also visit Estonia to pick up their card. Just recently, one Georgian founder, for example, he was anyway coming to one of our startup conferences and decided that it would be quicker to get it there rather than wait for it to reach Tbilisi. So it's definitely possible, but not necessary.
I think it's also a good decision to see country, to understand some networking process and to have some connections when you can visit. But if you can't visit, your residency program close all these issues. Thank you. And the next question, it's really important for some part of our audience. And it looks like I got approval of e-residency in February the 5th, but still I haven't received kit or card. Due to this, I can't open a company. Could you please explain a little bit more about the process and delaying in the process, how it could be operating and what the reasons?
Yeah, so I think this would need to actually go to our customer support. The best way would be to contact us through our website, because this would not be a typical situation. Usually the average processing time that we have experienced with on the police and border guard side is about 3 weeks. And then usually it takes about 1 month if you are really in a very far away location, for example, either in India or somewhere else in Asia, or then it maybe takes logistically like quite a bit of time, because the card is sent with a diplomatic mail. So like it might take maybe up to a month maybe to travel to you. But this is not a typical situation that today is 17th and 18th of March and you still don't have this card. So I suggest you get in touch either with me or directly with our customer support, and together we will figure out what happened, because this is definitely not typical.
Understood. Thank you very much. The next question, it's also interesting. We seek opportunities for funding our prospect startup operations. What are the possible opportunities?
So as a startup founder, Estonia has a lot of private funding available. So maybe unlike the big European countries where there's a lot of government provided cash incentives to start your company, in Estonia the market regulates quite well which startups can succeed and build their product and which cannot. First choice would be to join one of the accelerator programs, for example. Accelerator programs are the best first step because if it's your first tech startup, then they provide you with a lot of know-how and mentors and people who have built maybe similar products or similar services before. Most Estonian accelerators are also like investment funds, so they actually work on equity basis. So maybe the money they give you in the beginning is very small. It helps you to start as two founders or three founders who need to like really work hard on the idea. But they provide you with invaluable contacts and try to get you ready for the next level. The next possible option would be to go to business angels. And business angels in Estonia, they are organized in a group called Estban, which is a very organized angel investor group, even in the world sense, because in some countries there are a lot of different small groups, but Estonian angels, they are all very organized. So there's a decent like deal flow coming in. They evaluate, they invite certain startups to their meetings and have them present live. So when you pick up a conversation with somebody and then they might include another investor, and you might have actually like a good angel round together from several investors. And once you have already like, that level, you have grown your business, then you are ready obviously for venture funding. And Estonia has a lot of good local funds that are able to invest into, again, this is, because they are European investment funds, then they are obliged to check that the team that they want to invest into has indeed a European entity. So that's where, again, for example, for Ukrainians, E-Residency comes in to help actually get these investments. And then I think for rounds, you have to also start looking from outside of Estonia and outside of these small countries, because probably like past Series A, it's already quite hard to raise in Estonia or raise from Estonian investors.
Ülane, thank you very much. The next question will be mine. So how can I set a consulting firm for innovation and change management, and how much will it cost me early? Because actually I don't have any client. It will be a new venture. So it doesn't mean your activity if it's not licensed activity. So you can set up a consulting firm without any problem. How much will it cost? So the first fee, it will be a fee for obtaining a residency status. As we said earlier, it will be 150 euro. The second, it will be state fee for registering company. It's 265 euros. And then you can buy the service of virtual address and contact person. And it's approximately started from 200 and up, different from other companies on the market. So it's the main budget which you need to have for starting your business. And of course, my advice will be that you should understand more clearly that you will have some new ventures or new contracts much quickly for being with your company in compliance. Okay, so the next question. Now e-residency requires a licensed contact person in Estonia. Thanks to this, is permanent establishment more likely to be in Estonia? Can a company registered in Estonia work online for tested work from Norway and yet have tax liability in Estonia? Can you give examples where one can legally bootstrap a company, both registered and taxed in Estonia from another country? So I will answer this question. Thank you very much. It's interesting. Estonian companies pay taxes based on their tax residence as a company. And if you are registered in Estonia, you need to pay taxes in Estonia. But as I said earlier, you should remember about your tax liabilities as a physical person in your country of your tax residence. So if you are tax resident in Norway, you should check tax obligations in Norway. And of course, about permanent establishment, we have the regulations in the EU when the director of the company will manage the company from other country. So this other country could recognize such a company as a tax resident, for example, in Norway. In conclusion, tax obligations in Estonia will be based on the company registration. In your country of tax residence, you should check your tax obligations with your local tax advisor. The next question will be addressed to Ülane you. So how can I get complete information about e-residency in Estonia? We discussed about it, that the website maybe is the yes. most great way how to receive information, but maybe...
So eresident.gov.ee is the website, and it lists pretty much every possible aspect of e-residency. We also have something on the website that is called a knowledge base, and the knowledge base has a little bit less of like presentation or sales talk, but more of specific articles about, how something works. How does it work to sell shares of my company to another person? Like, how does it work to, so like all of these very thorough articles have been written already with keeping these foreign founders in mind. So it is probably the best source of information to an English speaker about running a company in Estonia, both our website and the knowledge base section on the website. So this is what I would recommend. And obviously, also we run a monthly webinar from the e-residency team side as well. So joining our newsletter to receive our news and receive info about the events that we do is also a good way to keep in touch and get be in the loop with everything.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. So the next question, it will be Bor's question. Can I register and operate business being outside Estonia? Yes, you can register business being outside of Estonia, and e-residency will help to you. And operate business, of course, you can do it. But if you need some activity in Estonia, you can hire a local employees and operate business and inside Estonia. And the second question, can I use my e-residency to register company in EU except Estonia? Ülane, maybe you will help me, but I think it could be only for signing maybe some agreements in the EU.
I think most countries don't allow doing certain legal procedures with another country's digital identity. I know, for example, it's like that on the Estonia side, that you are able to log in to certain services by using your digital identity from another country, but you're not able to complete the processes because our digital identity requires, for example, PIN 2 as well. So PIN 2 is like the signing feature. So you have to have like 2 pins, and some countries just give you 1 pin. So our requirements are higher than those of some other countries. And I'm assuming that most countries haven't even invested so much as to develop an access with another country's digital identity to their services. So I think it varies greatly. Although I have heard that, for example, an Austrian one time was posting on social media about the fact that they were able to log into the Austrian tax board with their Estonian digital identity and say what their company earnings from Estonia were, and it actually worked really well. But I think it's really like it really varies, like what you can do and what you cannot do. But I think in most cases, registering a company probably is not possible with another country's digital identity.
Understood. Thank you very much. And the next question will be also addressed to you, and it's quite interesting. Are there any cases in practice where e-residency has been cancelled for Ukrainian owners? Is it possible to get it back or reissue it?
So e-residency gets cancelled in very rare cases, and those cases have mainly to do with not following the rules or laws of Estonia, or failing to collaborate or cooperate with the authorities on any kind of matter. So, for example, if you have been required to present certain documents by the tax board and you have not done it, and you have just ignored the tax board's communication, then it is possible that you will be, given as like a red flag to the police and border guard, and they will cancel the e-residency. But for just random reasons, e-residency doesn't get cancelled. So you have to break the laws. Or there has to be some kind of another issue with, for example, if there's a doubt that you have presented wrongful information, or you have lied on your application, or like things like that. And it is possible to reapply, but this will be on your record. So it's like, if you have done something to get your e-residency cancelled, I think it's near possible to not be or near impossible to get it back, because the transparency and the compliance requirements are quite high on the Estonia side.
Ülane, Olga added the question and maybe give more information about the case. And I would like to ask you, can the e-residence card be blocked because the place of birth of the owner is Crimea, although the owner is a citizen of Ukraine?
No. So in the beginning of the war, we made the decision as a country to stop issuing e-residency cards to Russian and Belarusian citizens. So it is not possible to apply when you have Russian or Belarusian citizenship. If you have Ukrainian citizenship, then the fact that you are born in Crimea or live in Crimea currently does not play a role. You are still in the system. You're still a Ukrainian citizen. Blocked, I have not heard of any cases of being blocked for just based on geography. Definitely not. It doesn't happen like this. However, again, if there has been a doubt that your document is actually being used by somebody else, or something else is strange that has come to the attention of the police and or our other authorities, then this might be the reason, but not the fact that you are born in Crimea. Definitely not that.
Maybe it could be the case when the owner of a residency card will be a citizen of Ukraine and citizen of Russia. In Crimea,
no,
we can.
So the way it works, and I've seen this in practice as well several times, is that the reason for not giving e-residency cards to Russian citizens is the lack of crime-related collaboration between Estonia and Russia. There's literally absolutely no way of getting any information about the applicant from Russia. So if somebody is double citizen and they are a Ukrainian citizen and they apply by putting their first citizenship in the application as Ukrainian, then the fact that they also own a Russian citizenship is not a reason to decline also, because we now have a friendly country, which is Ukraine, where we can obtain information for background about you. So it's really about the crime-related collaboration that is important here. And because this is lacking with Belarus and Russia, those citizens are not able to apply, and we do not even process their applications at all.
And I would like to add that, for example, from our experience with a lot of clients which have the place of birth in Lugansk, Donetsk region, or some occupied territory, we also didn't see the cases when the citizen of Ukraine was blocked by e-residency program. So maybe it could be some other reasons of really national security, but unfortunately we couldn't observe.
I suggest reading the legal obligations of an e-resident, and one of the things that is very important to understand is that you are not allowed to give your PINs to anybody else. Nobody else is allowed to use your identity for performing activity on your behalf. And if there is any doubt that it has happened, then this is like a serious breach of conditions. So the only thing I can think of is these kinds of possible reasons why somebody's e-residency card would be blocked.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Lana. The next also is quite interesting question. It's main mistakes while registering company in Estonia. I will share my practical experience. The most interesting case was when company has a registered address in Portugal. So in Estonian register, it wasn't any virtual or registered address in Estonia, and it was a registered address in Portugal. And when I see it, I was really shocked, and I understood that maybe consultants didn't understand the tax consequences of such steps. Because from the point of view of Estonian legislation, such company isn't tax resident of Estonia because this company doesn't have a registered address on the territory of Estonia. But if you have a registered address in Portugal, it means that Portugal authorities can full rights to make all tax obligations for Estonian company in Portugal. So please pay attention that your Estonian company must have the registered address on the territory of Estonia. Ülane, maybe you also have such interesting cases about such mistakes.
Definitely, one of the things is this, that you don't remember to get a service provider. So this is a mandatory condition for foreign citizens to run a company in Estonia. So definitely that's one, and not having a contact service provider is actually breaking the law. Then not understanding what you do in the process, and that's another reason why we actually recommend service providers, because I recently had a situation where a customer did the company registration on the business portal themselves, and for Estonians it shows you that you can just log into an Estonian bank. And that's what we would do if we would start the business, and we would just log into the Estonian bank and start a company account right away. But because banks, they serve companies that have physical activity in Estonia, if you sign up as an e-resident through this, and you pay in your share capital, and later the bank doesn't open you an account, then your money is stuck. And they actually need to do a lot of paperwork to actually be able to release this money and send it back to where it came from. So I was really struggling with one client, for example, recently, because they didn't start a company with 1 cent like it's allowed in Estonia, but they started a company with 10,000 euro share capital because it was important for them to be able to sell and buy shares without notary approval. And this was a big amount of money to have stuck in a bank that was not going to open you a bank account because you don't have physical activity in Estonia. So it's been a big struggle to handle this situation and solve it for the customers, because they did something in the process that they could have avoided if they had a decent service provider advising them in this process.
It's so interesting. Thank you very much. So let's take some questions from the chat. And Konstantin asked why tax in Ukraine are 9%, not 18% for a personal tax. It will be a question for me. So in Ukraine, we have a different tax rates. And 9%, it's a tax rate for a physical person who receive international dividends. 18%, it's a tax rate who receive international income. International income, for example, if you receive money for some services on your account on Wise and you not declare as an individual entrepreneur, it will be your international income. Or some international income from providing services, some receiving international salary, for example, from Estonian company, it will be 18%. But in case of dividend, it will be 9%. The next question from Julia: how to pay taxes when you have Ukrainian citizenship and temporary refugees in the EU? So for temporary protection, it's very important, and now it's a big problem for all refugees from Ukraine. It's understand your tax residence. Tax residence is where the main center of your economical and life activity is going. So we need to analyze the convention. For example, Ukraine and in Poland, for example, a lot of our refugees. So we need to analyze convention between Ukraine and Poland, double tax treaty, where we can find the detailed information in the point of tax residence, how we should understand where is our tax residence. But now it's a big problem because Ukraine considered that all Ukrainians who are abroad, it's a tax residence of Ukraine, and in different countries, of course, after 3 years, all people are started to be and recognized as a tax resident in their country. So in this case, for example, if we are speaking about corporate base in Estonia, it doesn't influence. So Estonian company will pay corporate tax, tax on distributed profits, VAT, and etc. And taxation on the level of physical person will be important, and understanding this tax resident when we will apply a personal income tax on receiving dividends or receiving international income or receiving sub-salary. So it should be discussed additionally with a lot of other additional points. So thank you for the questions. The question of Olga we discussed, and in the chat, that's all. Maybe I will check. Yes, from our previous questions, it's a very interesting question from Oleg about CFC legislation in Ukraine. Do I have to submit notifications, reports or not? Do you help with this? If so, yes, now Ukrainian tax residents who incorporate their company abroad, for example, in Estonia, should submit the first its notification after 60 calendar days about that fact that they incorporated their company. And then each year they should submit CFC, its Control Foreign Companies report, to put to this report financial statements of Estonian company yearly, and submit tax declarations in Ukraine. Additional topic about what taxation will be in Ukraine, or we have some possibilities not to pay taxes on this amount of income from Estonian company, but it's another question. For example, on our YouTube channel of Finevolution, you can find a lot of additional videos about CFC legislation in Ukraine, or please write us with details and we will help you with it. So, and last question will be about some aspects working with VAT with clients from the USA and UK. So if you incorporated the Estonian company, when you receive a turnover of 40,000 euros, you need to submit application for receiving VAT. In this case, when your company will have a VAT number and you will export your services to the USA or UK, you will put in your invoice the tax rate is 0%. So it will not give you some additional tax burden, but you should admit it, you should submit tax declarations and etc. So it's the response to your question. So now the questions are finished, and that brings us to the end of our session today. Thank you all for joining. Ülane, thank you very much for your time, for your presentation, for our Ukrainian e-residents and e-residents, future e-residents from other countries which join us today. So if you have any further questions, you don't hesitate to reach out and to write or me or my company or Ülane. A recording of the session will be available for those who missed any part of it. And thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you at our future events.
Thank you from my side as well, and thank you for inviting me to speak.
Thank you very much. Wish you a